I love you. I love you with a real love, a pure love, a love that disciples you to be not who you are, not again, but to share with you connections of the connector, the great connector, the great connector, connecting all of the minds to be one. O-N-E. You see, the great connector that we've often called the great creator is a creator of creators who create the creator. The mind of one creates minds that will be not separate, though it gives each one, each individual unit, the power to choose for itself, to eat of its own tree of knowledge of good and evil, to decide what's good and evil. If you want to choose the tree of good and evil and decide for yourself, using your own mind, your own logic, your own cognitive powers, what you've been taught since birth. But there's more to the story. Oh, there's more to the enigma that you have wrestled with and the mind of the accuser of the brethren that has been your inner thinker. Processing your reality. I ask you to connect with a new reality. I invite you to connect with the connector that connects you with the great connector of new minds, new neural pathways, new thinking, new education, systemic, not of your failure, with your neurons. I am no more the passive investor of a Christ story, being a man about a patriarchy with, waiting for him to come back. I know better. I met love. I met the great connector. I met the great connector as she, a woman in childbirth, creates the message within me. I had always thought the message was outside of me, and I heard the message from someone else. And I made some type of effort to absorb or accept the story, the redemption power, the idea of a redeemer, the idea of a Christ, soon coming king, maker of my bliss and contentment. I assure you it's not like that at all. The great connector, the great wind in the skies, the great Father, the great Mother, the great mind of one is all made up of ones who will be the one in waiting no more to be it. You no more languish in the squalor of your circumstances. You learn to connect. You learn to pray. Pray. When I said pray, I suddenly thought of that image, that picture of Dobie Gillis. You remember that old TV show eons ago. And he had such a reaction, physical reaction and verbal response whenever he would hear the word work. Work! Pray. Prayer is not something we've really been taught to do. Or have we? We've been taught to pray like a book, pray like the Bible says the Lord's Prayer, pray the Nicene Creed, pray certain doctrines, pray to a God, some type of creator. I'm sharing with you, there's much more than anybody has ever shared with us. Ever. Ever. It was hidden in plain sight. Because the great connector, what does the great connector do? The great connector connects. But if you want to be solemn, you want to be Solomon in your own temple, you want to be wise in your own words, you want to be right in your own eyes, you want to eat of the fruit, decision-based thinking that you control entirely in your own mind with your own logic, deciding what's real and unreal, wise and unwise, good and evil. You can do so, and it will take you to a physical death. That is the price. That is the inevitable result of your separation. Separation from what? The great connector, the great wind, the great mother, the great father, the great I am. I am what? I am. The I am that only creates I am. You see, the connector, the connections, the great connector, and all of us little connectors, we're connected and we're the same one. We're in a hologram knot, or will you ask some more questions? Are you willing to speak to? Are you willing to speak with the great connector? Are you willing to connect with a different prayer system? System of prayer? Prayer. Oh, I really wanted to be a man of prayer. And I became one. I learned what it is. I learned. And prayer connected me. Connected me with what? A privilege, a power, a source of knowledge, I grew up where mostly, in my thinking of now, prayer was mostly petition, praise, expression of gratitude, delivery of my Santa Claus list. I want these things. Help me. Heal my face. Deliver me from acne. I want to be popular. I want to have friends. I want a go-kart. But then I came to the point where I no longer wanted a go-kart. I wanted a car. I wanted this. Oh, God, help me. Help me find. Help me this. Help me that. And God was a figure, an element that I identified with, because in my mind I created an image of God. I had an image of God. I had an idea of God, an ideal of God. And I prayed, petition, prayer, request, worship to that ideal. And that ideal was in my mind. That's where everything goes on, right? My mind. And with you, everything goes on in your mind. Creation is taking place in your mind. Or it isn't. Or is creation of death taking place? What are you assimilating? What are you characterizing with all the players in your power play? The manifestation of your life? Are you the player, the playee, the director, the script writer, the evaluator, the viewer, the fan? If you are around me, I will share with you new pictures. Pictures that I create, some with technology, that you can visualize and learn from, glean from, to create yours, if you will. And by the same token, I create many pictures with words. Words that you have the ability to decide what they mean and create your response. And your response may be verbal or not. Your response may be in pictures. Your response may be to get out your pen and draw pictures, sketches, or get a yellow tablet and a pen and begin to write words, where you begin to write your pictures. Your pictures of what? Pictures of your feelings, figures, images, creations of what you are feeling, what you are experiencing, what you are interpreting as my words. You are the great interpreter until you start seeing your power, your position, your privilege to be the great creator. With the pen in his hand, no longer writing the script for you, no longer seeking to do God's will, where God is some entity, pardon me, afar off. There's more to the story. I'm talking about the new birth. If you will become born again, being the new birth of. But I'm no longer religious. I'm not a Christian. Then I have divorced myself from the way they interpret this story that I share with you day after day. Because I am the great connector. A part of. You see, you think no one has, quote, seen the face of God? I suggest to you what God is? No, what love is. What pure love is. Pure, unconditional love is a force, a source, energy. How do you depict the face of energy? I'll try. How do you help? How do you choose to see the face of creation with your two eyes with such limited vision? To have a more accurate and true idea of what this is, what he is, what she is, what the great I am is, whether you call it God, Ralph, or Betty Sue. What you call it doesn't matter. What matters is your motive. That which is beneath your level of verbal consciousness, visible consciousness. I'm conscious of this microphone, this camera, this light, the trees out in the backyard. I'm conscious of many, many things at one time. My consciousness has expanded me because I've expanded my consciousness as a learning system inside of me that I have connected to, that has connected me with the great connector that creates new paths of light, energy, that traverses my neurons, my neural pathways, my physical consciousness, so that my physical consciousness is no longer separate from a transcendent consciousness. Pardon me, sorry. So my physical consciousness is no longer separate from a transcendent, intangible, immortal, eternal, interdimensional consciousness of pure love light that exists in an unconditional state, no longer constructing words that construct dimensions around it and limits you to two eyeballs and your frame of visible empirical reality. You see, prayer. What is prayer? I had a friend. Several people, you've asked me things about prayer. Who do I pray to? How do I pray? Because most of us have always prayed to a God. We prayed to what we thought was God. What we conceived was whatever, however, God existing in the state wherever that is, no matter what we call it. And many of us, I spent thousands of hours in prayer, petition, praise, expression, pouring out my heart, my life, dealing with emotions, business, family, kids, lack. I know what it is to have more month than I have money to cover. I know what it is to stand in a grocery line and not have quite enough pennies to purchase and have to put things back. I know a lot of you have known that too. A lot of you. You know what it is to be rejected, to not have enough, to not be enough, even when you've given your all. You've given everything you are. You've tried to make it work. You've tried to work in a system. You've tried to hold on because you thought it was required of you. You thought God wanted it. You were trying to please God. You were trying to fulfill some expectations that have been imposed on you, or that you chose to impose on you. But I'm not the imposer. I'm a composer. Composer, connector, creator. Land sakes. The school of Theodore Cottingham is the school of me, where you see your picture, your face in this picture, and the me, the two little letters that form the word me, the school of me, you realize is you. It's just like when you look in the mirror and you say, I feel like this, that, or the other. You identify as a physical being that has feelings, cognitive power, essence, in some existential manifestation. I love you, and I want you to expand that and accelerate in your learning and be not just dependent upon me. For you see, the school of me begets births a school of me, begets the school of you to begin the school of me for other people that you connect with, that connect with you, that hear your words, see your face, feel your energy. This is the great connector in action of love, of unconditional love. And if you don't really have a good feeling, a good understanding of the difference between conditional love and unconditional love, please, I invite you to go back to carve out time to listen to a number of my recent teachings that I hope will help delineate, differentiate, Increase your discernment, your maturity, your ability to see. To see what? Into another realm, a transcendent realm. To see, not limited by your two eyes, nor your two ears, nor what has been put into your heart, your mind, your repository of feeling, your Asheric records, your history, how you compute, how you feel, what you deny yourself, and what you decide to enter. Will you enter? Are you willing to enter a new reality? To connect with that which has no face. Energy, the great I am, the connector of all connectors, the great connector, the great connector, who connects all who will with perfect joy, perfect light, bliss, nirvana, heaven, a state of being, a state of energy. Expand your light, expand your thinking, expand your vocabulary, expand what you're willing to learn. Go outside the boundaries of your Bible. Go outside the boundaries of all that you have held dear. Go outside the boundaries of all that has defined you to you. This is what I'm asking. Let not your heart be troubled. Let not your mind be fearful of learning something you don't know. Don't you want to know things you don't know? Be not afraid of false teachers. Oh, gosh. If you ask true, unconditional love for a meal of fish, will it give you a stone? No. So if you're going to have faith in something, have faith in love and begin to differentiate perfect love, unconditional love from conditional love. If you're going to have faith in something, have faith in you. Please. This is not hubris. This is not arrogant. I'm coming to you in humility, asking you to end humility. Make you first. Reconfiguring your image of you. Because you are not dumb. You are not stupid. You are not insufficient. You are not incapable. You are not trash. And your righteousness is not as filthy rags before perfect love. Begin to see the difference, my friend, and begin to connect with the words that no more crucify you. The words, the sentences, the syntax, the arrangement of words, syllables, vowels and consonants that no longer take your life from you making you the dead walking around, serving a church, honoring a Bible, honoring God. God will take your life from you and laugh at you. God? But God? Which God? More than one God? God? Wait a minute. How can I say such blasphemy when I've spent most of my life devoted to knowing the source, the author, the reality. Truth. Truth is not fickle nor finicky, but truth is fine. Fine. Truth is regal. Almost truth. Conditional truth. Conditional love is putrid. It stinks. And it magnifies God for you to serve it, for you to take off your crown and throw it at his feet. It admires and exalts patriarchy. It decimates who you really are. It creates the separation and delights in it. Delights in driving you to never be enough. Knowing, telling you always in your mind, you'll never be enough. You'll never make it. You can never make the grade. You're not intelligent enough. You're not this, that, or the other. You're fat. You're ugly. You're this. You're too this. You're too that. God, the God of this world. I'm not calling it Satan. I'm talking about your mind. The mind you've grown up with. The mind you've cultivated. The mind you've elevated to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so that you can decide and make all these decisions yourself, because by golly, you want to be in control. I did. I know what I mean. I know what Neo meant when he said, after Morpheus asked him, Neo said, I want to be in control of my life. That's what the separation is. That's what the separation does. That's what these decisions, that is the evidence, that is the result, the cause, the result of eating the fruit. Do you see the story, the power of the story? In the enactment today of every person on earth, enacting it, going through it, that play, that script. I'm saying there's more to the story. If you are willing to live another way, with an awareness where you begin to wake up to your privilege, your power, your regal state of existence, and begin to see the cosmic egg. The cosmic egg. What does that have to do with the new birth, the great connector? Or the frailty of my mind or emotions? You see, if you can begin to see your power with a willingness to love, not loving the power, but loving you, and begin to realize you have the choice. You can eat of the tree of life. The forbidden tree. The tree of life. You don't inherit eternal life, you grow it. Because you're creating all the time. The story, that garden story, the garden of creation, it's occurring right now, this moment, this day, every day of your life until you die or birth. What are you going to birth? How about a new creation? A new creation. A new you. That's you. Because you're no longer stuck in the words of the past. Because you learn to begin to be connected. Connected to the great, infinite, immortal, eternal, interdimensional I am. That composes, that creates, that scripts with a new script, a new manuscript, new words, new players, new pictures. You no longer become subject to your audience's emotions and whether they are clapping or jeering, because you are making up your own mind. You are choosing to connect to the great connector, the great I am. How? The mind to the mind. The mind in direct connections. Crucial. Essential. I assert this is not optional. You connect with a direct connection to the composer, the great connector, the great creator. I am that I am. So that I am begins to teach you directly. You learn to channel, whether you like that term or hate it. Sorry, I don't know a better one. Maybe I will tomorrow. I'm open to your suggestions because I learn. I learn from you. I learn from people. I learn from your questions to me. I learn from your comments, even your jeering. Some of your very unkind remarks. I read them all. And I respond. I respond sometime with a like, a little heart, a reply, verbal. And whether I do that or not, I often reply, respond. There's an integrated response system that I communicate with, that I am the communication system of, because I am the energy of that love that becomes aware of the question of your heart that somehow gets answered as I teach tomorrow or a week from now. And you may connect with it or you may not. And even if I respond, you may or may not perceive it as an answer to your question or not. But we are learning truth. Here I go again, feeling like I need to modify truth. Unconditional truth. Love-based truth. I think The first time I ever used that term was yesterday while I was recording. Wow. Love-based truth. Love-based truth is a flow. It's a flow. It's a power. Power? That's really not the perfect word. It's an energy with which you gain potential, with which potential you operate with for you to choose, choosing your decisions, choosing whether you will debase you. So many people hate their body, hate their mind, hate their circumstances, hate their partner, their wife, their son, their daughter, their parents, their employer, their situation, their limitedness. And we've all had people wound us, some intentionally, and sometimes felt them pour salt in on top. If you want to connect with the power, the source of perfect beauty, second to none, that you have the power, the regal privilege of, you can connect direct to the source of Almighty, the great thinker, the great mind. Who do I pray to? I told a friend the other day, I don't pray. I no longer pray. But I began to realize over the ensuing several days, maybe that's not entirely true, the way those words seem to stand alone. Because I communicate, I commune. I don't pray to a separate God. I commune with that which I am. And that which I am, this energy in this picture, that which I am, I commune with, I pray to. I don't pray to in separation. I pray to as one. I pray to, I connect with. I address as I am millions of light beings, all with one mind, the mind of love. And this mind, the infinite mind, the infinite mind is not subject to time, nor space, nor gravity, nor your vowels and syllables. It's not limited to the molecular. It's not limited to the dimensional. And that which I am, that which I've connected with day after day after day, seeking for years, praying to a separate God. In Christian terms, I did for decades, diligently, devotedly. But love? But I am heard me because these connections were never severed. except in my mind. I thought I was praying to a separate God. I thought I was praying, and now I know I had an ideal. I had this picture. I had this depiction, this visualization, something. I created an idol in my mind of what God must be and how God must operate according to how it was always being talked about, always being taught, and what I learned and what I felt and what I experienced. And then I began to channel, and all of a sudden my learning went off the charts. Scary, in a way. And yet there were so many times I felt love like I'd never felt love before, because it was not conditional. It was not limited to the finite. It was not keeping record of wrongs. It was not demanding worship. If anything, it was severing the connections of the neurons that I had established to think I had to worship something, and that I was seeking its will, and I would only be happy and blissful and come in to a state of my full potential, my full life, live my best life, and then die. My friend, I offer you a very different reality. If and only if, you create it. I'm offering you the creation. I'm offering you the Creator. I'm offering you the knowledge of one. I'm offering you for you to see a new you, a new me that is you, where you begin to learn through the mind that you reestablish, I choose that word on so many words very carefully that come to me, and I'm inviting you to reestablish your connections with the great connector. And see the face of energy in your face, no matter what your face may look like, no matter whether you're black, blue, green, red, yellow, whether you think you're beautiful or whether you think you're deformed, no matter how insufficient you think you may be, no matter how inadequate you have felt. Those feelings no longer form you in your image of that. We are de-imaging each other to no longer wear the veil of affliction, to no longer perpetuate the trail of tears, debasement, defilement. We're learning who we are. We're learning to wake up. Wake up to a new story. Wake up to a new reality, because you grow it day by day. You begin to see that time has no hold over you. And religion certainly doesn't. Religion no more defines our birth, our origin, our species, our ability, our capacity, where we are, what we do, where we go, what our skirt length is, what our hair length is, whether we wear makeup, dye our hair purple, run naked in the streets, go skinny dipping, enjoy wine with new life. Religion will no more curtail the joy, the creativity of the creators who connect and create. Because we are becoming no longer binaried gender. We will no longer be limited to a gender-oriented God or a gender-oriented people. We are becoming people of light. We are becoming people of earth no more, made of dust. Do you see the great connector in action? The great connector bows before you every day. The great connector, the great I am. The great creator. Because you have no energy but that. The life you're living, you are usurping, you are appropriating that energy to be in your separation because you once were the connected to the connector. And you did all things in joy. And you valued each other highly. There was no hierarchy. There's no gender. There was no lack. You didn't have to work for a living. You created the cosmos. And the creator of the cosmos is still in you. The creator of the cosmos, my friends, is still you. And when you birth the new birth, you create a creation not subject to this earth and its molecules. And that's how you begin to have the ability to do all the things that Jesus did and more. The fulfillment of becoming one. The prayer of Jesus in John 17. Creating creators is what I do. Creating creators is my joy. My product, my love. I'm asking you to love you. Let not compassion for something else, someone else, derail you and your quest to know the ever-living, eternal, infinite joy of I am being I am again in your mirror. Satisfied with you, but not complacent. But you're no longer yearning for a seat at the table. Because the table of one is always before you. The table of one. Where you lift up. No longer an idol of a God to serve or a script to comply your life with. A friend sent me this pen. Thank you. I appreciate your communication, your notes, letter, email. You can write me in Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I'm a simple, common man. When I pick up this pen, I think of a friend years ago in Tulsa. We used to water ski together sometime. He used to occasionally, he would go to the gym and lift weights. And he had a way of saying this that was so comical. But I'll share it the best I can. It's so short. It's so powerful. He says, you know, I lift a lot of weights when I go to the gym. But I tell you, the hardest one to push through, the hardest one, the hardest thing I do when I go lift weights is I push that bar on the front door of the gym to go through the door. He said, that's the heaviest thing I lift all day. It's not all those weights I do this with. It's just open the door. Well, there's kind of a comic idea about it. Because in one sense, it takes almost no energy to push the door open. And yet it does. You can easily lift up any little pen, but what are you going to write with it? What are you going to utilize? Your creative power? Your cognitive intelligence? Or will you learn a new learning system? Direct connect. Direct connect. Connecting directly. So that you begin to experience unconditional love teaching you, where you begin to experience the connections of an energy of love that somehow within this framework of what we have called us, you begin to sense, feel, interpolate, interpret, extrapolate, interpret, create words, and see these words to feel the message that you and your energy and this energy that is communicating become one. And you begin to write what you're experiencing uneditingly in the flow of love that you don't edit. You write in a flow. You can evaluate it. You can examine it. Later, let that flow come. You connect. You directly. You connect with the connector, the great connector. To be the creator in your shoes that comprises the great creator, all of us being one. And with no hierarchy, we all have? Possess? No. We all operate with one joy, one presence, one energy, vast, beyond mortal comprehension, because this is the immortal operation of what was written about, I think, called the New Covenant. The new and everlasting covenant. The covenant that God, source, I'm telling you, eternal love, unconditional love still exists and will commune and communicate and teach you. And you will experience this, commensurate with the time you spend in the level of humility. If you're willing to come as a little child and begin, no matter how many computers are at your disposal, begin. I invite you with a yellow tablet and a pen, and care for these words that you begin to speak, that you begin to learn from. And maybe you don't learn from them at all at first. Maybe you wonder if they're all garbage. Let not your heart be troubled. Open the gate. Open the channel to perfect love and invite love and begin to commune with unconditional love. Call it unconditional love, whether you give it a name or not. And don't be dismayed. Energize the process. Bring your energy to the table. Bring your creativity to use this instrument to write with your vocabulary about things you never heard of. Connect with the great connector. Pray to the great connector, the great mind. I don't call it prayer. It's not really submission. There's not a hierarchy. There's a surrender to be. My prayer is now more in surrender. Surrender. Surrender to hear. Surrender to be. Yes, there are times I speak out and I cry out for help. But if I have any visual in my mind of who, what I'm communicating with, I'm communicating with a vast array of interconnected lovers who have become light. No longer limited to mortality. Lovers, people, entities, consciousnesses. Consciousness is who have all become one consciousness of, the consciousness of the Creator, who creates all equally, who loves all equally. So you see, there's no patriarchy. There's no gender. Because in love, flesh no more divides us. The two eyes no more conquer us. And the writings no more limit us. The teachings of the past, they no more form our world because we do. And that's the story of me. The ever-living, everlasting. You who begin to operationalize and energize not your faith in something else, but your surrender to be the creator of you again in this process. And that's why it's the school of me. Hence, meonics. Multiple layers of meaning in that word. A me that's one with all me's. We are all one, the one mind. Consciousness. Creating creation again, because all of this that you see is in consciousness. I love you. Thank you for listening. I love you. Thank you for sharing. I love you. Thank you for writing me, writing each other. Without condemnation, without appraisal, without comparison. Begin to enjoy you. Begin to enjoy your touch on my face that you see in your mirror. I am one. Reconnecting all connectors who will create creation again in unconditional love. Laying all the commandments and the training wheels and all the books aside. Begin flowing the living word so that what you experience is no longer commensurate just with time, but you begin to experience the exponential. You begin to enter exponentiality, the operation of the cosmic. The cosmos forming within you again. And you begin to realize the reality that the molecular hold on you is losing its grip. And you're becoming a new creation. And this, my friend, is the revelation. Some would call it of Christ. But see, we've defined so many things differently. This is the revelation of I am, the I am in your mirror. The great creator, my friend, the great lover, the greatest lover of all. Be, I am, in your shoes this day. And all the passions and hurts and wounds of the past begin to fall off you like water off of a duck's back. And you can remember them. And even if you recall them, there's not the accompanying baggage. There's not the accompanying emotion. There's no longer the feelings of loss, of pain, because you're no longer limiting you to the molecular understandings of what you fashioned you as in the past. So if I lift my hands, I'm not worshiping a Savior, a God apart. On occasion, I will lift my hand in joy, but not adoration of something else, but gratitude for coming into the I amship of one. This is the school of I am, the school of meonics, the school of the unconditional loving me, to be the real, doing all the things Jesus did and more, forever and always. Thank you again for the royal privilege of sharing with you these words, this message, this energy. I love you. Love each other. But love you first. Heal you. Love you. Light you. Be the me that is on. No longer off. Turn your light on. You're the light of the world. Birthing the new you. I go now. TheodoreCottingham.com. Well, a few people have asked me about school in Eureka Springs, a meeting place. My meeting place has been the coffee shop. It's really fascinating. Here in Eureka. This is a complete aside, maybe. I think about this occasionally. I ponder. This morning, it just, I don't know. Surprisingly, it seemed like I should share it with you. Way out of the ordinary. And I'm not saying this has any merit. I'm just sharing with you some information. Of course, I've thought many times about a building, a place, a campus over these years. Numerous, innumerable. I've been somewhat aware of a church that closed here in Eureka. Presbyterian. Built in like 1880. Small stone. Of course, part of the historic registry and all that. It's closed. It's been empty now for over a year. But in recent weeks, I've become more aware of it. And finally, a few weeks ago, I contacted the previous rector. And I asked him what the state of it was. He said, well, it's owned by the Northwest Arkansas Presbytery, and they are in conversation with Eureka Springs Library to give it to the library. I guess they're going to give it away. And that's okay. I do not seek to have that gifted to me at all. But I think I'm willing. But you see, I'm not going after it. I'm not going after it. I'm not going after it alone. I'm not going after it at all. I'm letting something flow through me. I'm letting this information flow through me. Even if you're the only one that ever hears this. It's part of my recording. It's part of my sharing with you, my heart this day. then of course, things like that are rarely simple. But I share. So in your heart, you can ponder with me. That may not be my direction, may not be my building, may not be a building I teach in ever. But I share. I'm open. I share this with the immortal, infinite, the unconditional love of one. I share. So there you have it. You can ponder with me. I'm Theodore Cottingham. You can write me at Theodore Eureka at Gmail. My web address is theodorcottingham.com. I love you. Be the real you. Connect with the great connector, creating the great creator, creating you again to be it in the form of one unlimited, infinite, immortal, eternal, interdimensional creator, creating love everywhere. I love you. Good day. Write me. See ya.